What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to another video on high altitude investing. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about how Stellar is definitely the next banker coin to pop and how perfect this market cycle is. I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about cycles and why this cycle is so perfect, and going into my plans and strategies for profiting on this coin into the future. Before we get going, make sure that you're a subscriber to my channel, as well as sharing this video with your friends and hitting up that like button. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So when you're identifying cycles inside of any market, it's important to find other charts that are in the same asset class that you're trading and look at their cycles. In this case, I have Bitcoin on the Bitstamp exchange, and this is a market cycle from 2013 into 2015, 2016. So this cycle that occurred inside of this market is a very, very standard market cycle. When we Google market cycle and we just look at the different images that you can see for market cycles, it's very typical for there to be a first sell-off and then a very, very large enthusiasm, greed, delusion, new paradigm phase. With Bitcoin specifically, you can see how clear this first sell-off pattern was before we get that ramp up, that new paradigm phase, and then the corrective pattern that occurs afterwards. Now, what's really interesting about Stellar Lumens for me is actually just how perfect the cycle is in comparison to Bitcoin today. So let's go ahead and look at our Bitcoin in 2014, 2013. So let's go ahead and look at this cycle right here. As you guys can see, Stellar Lumens also did a first sell-off right here, this huge parabolic run-up in value, and then a very, very nice corrective pattern with some accumulation. So it actually looks extremely similar to Bitcoin, and when I look at that, I think, okay, well, it was really, really fun to be part of the Bitcoin market cycle. I started investing in Bitcoin in this accumulation period right here. I had no clue what I was doing at the time. I just knew that I was getting into something that was good, but I had no clue that I was buying the exact bottom of an entire market cycle. But you guys, that's pretty much what we're looking at with Stellar today, is that same accumulation. And so it's basically like buying Bitcoin in 2015. So maybe you're somebody that missed the boat with Bitcoin. Maybe you're somebody that felt like you missed the boat. Well, it's time to be getting into a lot of these altcoins because of the fact that it's like buying early day Bitcoin. We're probably going to see a very similar percentage game, a very similar market cycle play out. And that's going to be extremely profitable to be part of, to be trading, investing. And that's one of the reasons it's so exciting for me to make these videos every day and share them with you guys. So yeah, I really, really like how similar those two cycles are. You can see plain as day just how similar those two cycles really are. And actually, the interesting thing too is this capitulation event that occurred right here is very similar to the COVID capitulation that shook everybody out right here inside of Lumens. And so we even have the same capitulation event before that bull market really established fully and started. So I definitely think this is an alt season period of time with Stellar Lumens. So that kind of fractal comparison kind of goes to show what can come in a market cycle perspective as we establish an uptrend. So really what I'm watching for now is that trend establishment, a parabolic breakout, an accumulation, another breakout, more accumulation, upside, a break of major resistance, which then leads into another massive parabolic run. This entire thing becomes its own little first sell-off because it's just a fractal. It repeats. The human emotion repeats, and then that cycle happens again. And so this really, even Bitcoin is setting up for another massive cycle. You've even got the same kind of first sell-off pattern. You've got the run-up in value. You've got the corrective wave that comes afterwards. You get the parabolic breakout. and then you get the first accumulation after the parabolic breakout. So this is already in an uptrend. It's already established its uptrend, and will really, really confirm the full bull market as we break above 14K. But for me, I like to get into the market and make as much money as I possibly can. And the reason for that is because of the fact that the earlier you buy, when you're buying in the point of maximum financial opportunity, you make the most money. And it's nice to have that profit come very quickly, to have those percentage gains be very high, and to have the risk be extremely low. And as you can see right here, low risk, high opportunity. That's Bitcoin's lowest risk, highest opportunity was obviously right here. But this entire area right here is another low risk, high opportunity area to be buying Bitcoin, especially in the big picture as we prepare to ramp up for another bullish cycle. So how does this apply to Stellar Lumens? Well, you guys, as you can see, I can just take a horizontal line tool right here and make this horizontal ray. And this was the peak of the last cycle on Bitcoin, which was about 1,200. And since that peak out, from a percentage perspective, from a percentage gain perspective, Bitcoin did about 1,500% gains. So from the previous all-time high, not from the absolute bottom of the cycle, but from the previous all-time high, when it broke that level, Bitcoin gained about 1,500%. And so if we do the same thing with Stellar Lumens, and if we assume that it's going to do a probably very similar cycle and even break its previous all-time high and really go parabolic from there, we can take that same horizontal ray tool, and then we can just measure a percentage tool from that previous peak out. And you guys, look at this. This is going to be really, really fun to be part of this market cycle, to be riding it with all of you guys, be profiting with all of you guys. All of a sudden, you see that Stellar Lumens has a lot of upside, you guys. It could really, really go parabolic in this run. It can make the previous cycle look like it barely even exists, just like how Bitcoin did. I mean, look how small that previous cycle is compared to the one that we see today. It really, really dwarfed the previous cycle. And that's what I fully expect to happen with Stellar Lumens as well, that we dwarf that previous cycle. And even the previous all-time high is quite a bit lower than the new lows. So these are the new local lows right here at 3,200, 3,000, and about 4,000 right here. Those new local lows are actually even still quite significantly higher than the previous all-time high. So that's one of the reasons being an investor is so smart, is you can ride through all of these massive cycles, and your highs are going to be way higher than your previous all-time highs, and your new local lows will be significantly higher. So you're always in profit. And that's kind of where the hodl mentality comes in, but you really don't want to. It's best to think like a hodler, especially in a bear market, not to be thinking like a hodler at the top of a massive bull market. That's a good time to be taking profits off of the table. But really, when you get into these massive accumulation periods like we've been seeing all through this period of time with Bitcoin, and like we've been seeing all through this period of time with Lumens, that is actually the time where, okay, that you can create that hodl mentality, you can start investing in it, getting ready for that massive run up. And it's always smart to take profits off the table and prepare for corrections. But even these new local lows are likely to be higher than the previous all-time highs. So that's kind of, from a strategy perspective, how I play these bigger cycles and what I expect with Lumens. Now, it's not just Lumens that will do this. There's actually a lot of altcoins that are going to be doing this type of move in the market. And so when we look at the altcoin market capitalization, I kind of expect that same thing to happen across the board. And this is that same chart. So let me just go ahead and show you, kind of put this into perspective for you guys, what this looks like here. So I can pull this, I can kind of align this chart up right here. And then I'm just going to show kind of the first parabolic breakout. And then I'm just going to take this chart and we're going to make them look similar, because they are extremely similar. So it's not that hard to match up what's going on here inside of these two markets and kind of see what we can expect for the altcoin market cap as a whole. Okay, we're getting really close here. Okay, there we go. Now, as you guys can see, we've got a first sell-off pattern. Again, this coincides with a very, very standard market cycle chart where you get this first sell-off, bear trap, media attention, public enthusiasm, delusion, new paradigm. That is the first sell-off of the altcoin market cap. This is the first sell-off of Bitcoin right here. And then we get that parabolic run up, and then we get an ABC corrective wave back down. We get an ABC corrective wave back down also on Bitcoin, which is very beautiful, you guys. Very, very nice to see that. And then we get that accumulation period, accumulation all through this area. This is where you want to think like a hodler, or you want to think like an investor. Accumulation, accumulation, very nice. And then you get your breakout, trend establishment, trend establishment, trend establishment, breakout of major resistance, and then parabolic run. And so really this can do a very similar thing. I expect it to do a very similar thing actually, and really just round out in the big picture and go on a parabolic run. This whole thing will be like a big old cup shape, a big rounded structure before we really moon. And so that's kind of some of the beauty that I'm seeing in these cycles. I'm really confident in these cycles. I really think that this is all season. It's a great time to be buying. It's a good time to have long positions. It's a good time to be investing inside of these markets. This is my trading journal. This is not financial advice, you guys, but from a market cycle perspective, this is what I'm planning for. This is my strategy, and I will be taking profits off the table as we really go parabolic, but there's no reason too early, you know, like you don't want to be taking your profits right here or something right after the breakout, because there's probably going to be dips and breakouts and dips and breakouts. I mean, look how much higher this thing went. Everybody even thought that this was the top too. Most everybody thought that the top of Bitcoin was at 7K, and it wasn't the top. And then finally, when the real top came, this is where it tricked everybody, myself included. But I made alternative strategies to plan for a 3K or to plan for a 6K support floor. And so as soon as I really started seeing this structure and a failure of this support level, bam, I started buying at 6K again, and bam, I started planning for an alternative prediction of a test of 3K. So even though this new paradigm tricked me a little bit as well, I still was able to make a plan for the market and know what to do with my capital based on that, and know what to show into my group and everything. So that's kind of how I'm playing the cycle, you guys. This next run up, it's going to be really easy to want to take profits too early. Just keep buying dips, keep buying dips, keep buying dips. And once we really, really get parabolic like that, and when we're really extended past our previous cycle to where it's completely dwarfed and the last cycle looks very small, that's when you can start thinking about taking profits and preparing for another massive accumulation bear market cycle in the market. So that's how I personally play market cycles, you guys. That's what I'm watching for with Stellar. I totally expect Stellar to break its previous all-time high. The percentage gain from here is very, very big and very, very good. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. I hope you learned something. I hope you appreciated what I showed you with these cycles. If you're not a VIP member, make sure that you click Become a VIP today. If you're ready to take your trading to the next level, go ahead and pull the trigger on this. I'll get you set up. All you got to do is send me an email or a Discord message. Lots of new members have been coming into this. It's been super fun to share my signals with you guys, to hear the testimonials, people coming back to me, telling me they're making profits on all sorts of the signals that I've posted. So I really have a deep sense of gratitude for everybody that's in the VIP and for everybody that's been watching my channel. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys in future updates. And as always, stay profitable out there.